Debbie, let's welcome you to the program, and let's move on to COVID.
Well, actually, it is COVID, but it's a completely different subject regarding COVID. And what I want to do, actually, is ask everybody, does charity start at home? I thought charity did start at home, but I want to scrape the tip of a very big iceberg that I believe is affecting every single one of us watching now, listening, in plain sight, right in front of our eyes. And it's, how good are you? How good a person are you? And would you be willing to sacrifice everything, your life, your privacy, your data, literally your life, for other people, for the common interest, for the planet, for humanity, for the earth? And this is where I'm going to introduce you to altruism and effective altruism. But before that, let me take you back to 2020. And I found this article in CBC News. Now, this is talking about rule breakers and the people who are the reasons that other people can't have nice things. And when you go into the article, you meet a political scientist called Dr. Dina Hinshaw, who's apparently a national hero in Canada. And she talks about rational egoists and people only being interested in what's best for them, and that they act in defiance of the rules, and they're very dangerous. And then she also talks about selfishness can cause social contagion. And I was very concerned really at the definition of altruism, because what I know as altruism has been re-engineered and redesigned right before our eyes. So the pandemic and COVID-19 has actually been one of the architects and the driving forces of this. So if we look at the study from King's College London, we can see that the pandemic has actually triggered an increase in altruism across Europe. So it's been a great opportunity for people to be seen to be doing good. But what I do have to say is that altruism is now a movement. This is a global movement. This isn't, this is a science. It's a big industry. And I want to introduce you to Effective Altruism UK. Now, effective altruism is very different from the altruism that you and I may understand. So this is about people wanting to make a difference and people wanting to be seen to be making a difference, people that are suffering injustices. But this isn't just Effective Altruism UK, this is Effective Altruism globally. So here's another website, Effective Altruism, about doing good better. How can we do good better? In fact, how can we do good with people that we've never met, that we don't know, and how can we be sure that what we are doing is as good as possible? Well, you don't have to go too far to learn that effective altruism, as I say, is a massive subject. So just WEF, again, the World Economic Forum, have plenty of references to effective altruism. Now, this was originally started by a gentleman called Pete Singer, who's actually a he's called a moral philosopher. His parents were Australian Jews and they went to Australia from Vienna. He says that he's an atheist and he gave birth to this movement. Well, let's just meet Pete Singer and listen to what he says. And for those of you who are partially sighted or who are blind, you might want to pay particular attention to the audio on this. So here's Pete Singer talking about effective altruism.
If you are going to donate, make sure it does the most good that it can. We all have this attitude to everyday purchases. If you need a new phone, and if you came home and showed your phone to a friend and your friend said, "How much did you pay for that?" And you tell them, they say, "What? I could have got that for you for half the price." You'd feel pretty stupid. But strangely, that attitude doesn't apply to charities. So if you go and give your money to a charity, let's say it's a charity that's raising guide dogs for blind people, and you don't do research before you do that. You don't ask, is there some other way I could help blind people that would help more people for less money? If you did ask that, you would find that giving money for guide dogs is not the best value for your money, because it costs a lot of money to raise a guide dog. It costs about $40,000 in the US. It's a good thing to do, but you can restore sight in someone who has cataracts, and you can prevent people from going blind from trachoma, which is a preventable cause of blindness. If you want to do good, do some research, find the most effective charities and give to them.
So perhaps Guide Dogs for the Blind might like to do a bit of research into Pete Singer's beliefs, and maybe any of our viewers might like to write to the CEO of Guide Dogs for the Blind Association. That's tom.wright@guidedogs.org.uk. And maybe you could point him in the direction of Pete Singer's video and ask him what he thinks about charity, obviously not starting at home. Now, Pete Singer, although he gave birth to this idea, two Oxford academics wrote a book. And here's a screenshot of the book, William MacAskill, Doing Good Better, which is nicely being endorsed by Bill Gates, who says he's a data nerd after his own heart. Now, MacAskill, he also co-founded a non-profit organization called Giving What We Can. Now, you might recognize this and know that people have been using websites like this in order to give as much as they possibly can, and then for Giving What We Can to decide what happens to your money, which charities and where your money should go to. And you can see the figures there are pretty stark. And here's the season for giving. And over the past 21 days, 4,114 people have donated over $2 million. So this is a very, very lucrative business. Now, it's not just your money they want, it's your work. So they're going to guide you into a job that they deem to be as good as possible, where you can do as much as you possibly can for other people. And you'll see the figures there, how much funding is committed. This is big business, 46 billion. How quickly have the funds grown? 37% per year since 2015. Around $420 million is being donated each year. This is really, really big business. So this is 80,000 hours. But how does the UK rank? Well, the UK is an effective altruist, and some of the champions you'll see there, Dominic Cummings, Michael Gove, and also Rory Stewart is one of our champions too. And it's interesting there to see that the UK and its partners are prioritising Rwanda over Nigeria, giving Rwanda $100 for each person and Nigeria just $18 for each person. But what does altruism or effective altruism, what else does it include into? And I'm afraid I have to say we have to look at altruism towards the end of life care, and what a kind of altruistic deed is it to help people to die. And then moving on from that, altruism and physician assisted death. And of course, they're extending new laws now to change the law on assisted death. And then if we look back at the pandemic, we can see that effective altruism was also the care workers, in this case, care workers in Sheffield, who decided that they would drop everything, leave their families, leave their homes, and they would go and live with their residents in their care home. This is what effective altruism is. How does it affect vaccination rates? Well, the effect of altruism on COVID-19 vaccination rates is, as you can see, favours the individual's awareness for vaccination. So again, it's a very useful tool. But what about double altruism? Well, we can have double altruism if you give blood. So giving blood is a really big, effective altruistic giveaway. And if you just flip on to the next slide there, you can see the top line. Blood donation is considered as one of its purest forms of altruism. Or is it? Because actually now that's not good enough, because how about giving a kidney? That's effective altruism. You should give your kidney. So kidney donation is a reasonable choice for effective altruists, and more should consider it. So it gets better, because now we're going to have healthy human volunteers volunteering themselves for clinical trials to be injected with all sorts of nasty things, including Zika and COVID-19 and hepatitis, in the name of altruism. And New Scientist is also reporting that DNA vaccines will be coded for live viruses, will also be tested in human beings, in healthy people. And people are going to be signing up for this because they are being seen to be good. But if you don't feel you can do anything on any one of those fronts, don't worry. What you can do is perhaps move out of your house, like Kevin Gulag has. And he's moved out of his one-bedroom apartment in Ottawa. He's house sharing with 3 roommates. He's giving 25% of his annual income. Excuse me. So you can pretty much, the sky's the limit. But it all goes wrong, doesn't it, sometimes? Perhaps we might remember Captain Tom. Do we all remember the scandal of where did your money go? What did happen to your money when you just gave to Captain Tom? So keep an eye out for Ineffective Altruism, because it's a really big topic and it covers every single one of us watching. We are being duped, engineered and made to feel guilty into doing things for people who knows where and who knows with what.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay, if you like what the UK Column does, you'd like to support us, please head over to community.ukcolumn.org and you can support us there. That would be very much appreciated. You can pick something up at the UK Column shop, but please do share anything you find on the various platforms, especially ukcolumn.org, ukcolumnextracts.co.uk. Yesterday, we showed the interview with John Cook, who's into unadulterated milk and food security and so on, so organic farming and so on. That interview, very interesting. If you haven't seen it, do have a look at that. Okay, let's move on then to this, A Doctor's Despair. Debbie.
Oh yes, great Christmas present, a fantastic cause, fantastic content, A Doctor's Despair, an anthology including poems by Dr. Claire Craig, Matt Letitia and Dr. Malek, and it's authored by our very own great friend, Dr. David Cartland.
Okay, and your blog is now up?
My blog is up and I hope you might find it a bit jaw-dropping, but I'll leave it there.
Yes, okay, thank you. And well, let's move on then to